Some of the wonderful traditions that we've been able to recapture this year involve the senior class choosing their speaker last night, as they did with Mr. Porter, and then today's speaker, Mel Baseman. And so, Mel, I'm going to ask you to come up and give the address to your senior class, the class of 2021.
Hello. Let me get my papers ready. Hello, class of 2021, families and friends. My name is Melissa Baseman, and I'm your beautiful graduation speaker. Before I start my speech, let me explain how I ended up being the stage. Usually, people volunteer themselves to be the speaker, and our class votes among those who volunteered. Well, no one in our class volunteered. So one day I get an email from Ms. Motika saying, Coach K wants to talk to you, but you aren't in trouble. Okay, when people say you aren't in trouble, it's a nice way of saying you are in trouble. And I started thinking of all the possibilities. Well, what could I have done wrong? Did they see any of my weird art and thought it was inappropriate? Am I going to get yelled at for always being out of dress code? Did I make an inappropriate joke? Would be okay in Brazil, but would not fly here? Well, in the end, I got a surprise. They chose me among other people to be the graduation speaker. At first, I was confused. Did they realize how much power they were giving me? Don't they know I love to rebel? Aren't they scared I will pull up a weird mouth thing? Don't get me wrong, but I was really tempted to just do a weird performance where I would stand here and stare at the audience with my mad model face, like. I just want to see how everyone would behave. But I'm not doing any weird performance today, mostly because I don't want to disappoint my dad. Hi, Roger. He had enough of my craziness in the last 19 years. So instead, I'll tell you a story. One day, a man goes to the king and asks for a boat so he could go search for an unknown island. The king refuses because it is common knowledge that there are no more undiscovered islands, and the man was probably just hallucinating. All islands have been previously found and cataloged. The man contradicts the king and says that all islands are unknown until someone lands on them. The man was so persistent that the king gave him a boat. Later, the man realizes that every man is an island, and we cannot see ourselves unless we become free of ourselves. This is a tale of the unknown island by Portuguese author José Saramago. I read this on my first sophomore year back in Brazil, and I took it way too seriously. For me, the island can represent a person, institution, my hometown, a dream, relationship, and so many other things. So I always try to leave these islands in order to see them clearly and understand them. I know this can be too abstract, so the main message is, get out of your comfort zone and explore as many islands, known and unknown, as possible. Also, it's about not conforming and doing what you believe in. After reading it, I promised myself that I would do, and at any chance I had to leave my island, I would do so, even if it scared me. So I got introduced to this island called the modeling industry. It felt like a perfect way to leave my comfort zone and be able to explore other islands. It also sounded great to finally use my height for something good, after being called a giraffe for my whole life. Like, people in Brazil are tiny. So at the prime age of 14, I would promise I would do anything to be a successful model. Many of you probably think modeling is a beautiful, glamorous world, but oh no, it's not. I will not talk too much about that, but I'll tell you about the good part, and introduce me to so many islands. Until that point in my life, I only knew one reality, of a privileged private school kid in São Paulo, Brazil. Molly introduced me to people with many different backgrounds, the coolest artists ever, an experience that some people will never have in their lifetime. My favorite part was how I was leaving my island every day. I would be going around São Paulo in these dope locations and studios, getting transformed by makeup artists and fashion designers. I would play a different character every day. On a Monday, I would be this adult lady who dresses fancy and like probably walks her chihuahua to get coffee. And then on Tuesday, I would be this girl going to a rave with pink wings and weird makeup. But you might be thinking, why did I come to Williston if I had this great life as a model? Well, when I said I would do anything to be a model, I truly passed on various limits. My bosses kept asking me to get skinnier and skinnier, and various times they would threaten me not giving me jobs until I was in the perfect weight. I was a gray, sad, malnourished stick ghost, but my bosses said I looked perfect, so I believed them. Even though I loved the creative job, the pressure to conform and the unhealthy influence of others about my body, as if I was an object, made me extremely depressed. At one point, I knew I needed to quit, but I felt conflicted because we always hear like the Nike logo, don't give up on your dreams. And I felt that by giving up on my dreams, I was being a failure. I tried to go back to school, but I could not adapt. So my cousin Felipe, who's here today, suggested to my parents I should move to the United States, and I'm so thankful he had this idea. I honestly don't remember that transition between leaving Brazil and coming here because of how sad I was. But thankfully, my parents took care of everything. So I came to Williston, and I'll be honest, it was terrible the first weeks. I haven't been around other teenagers in so long, and everyone and everything just sounded childish and superficial. Imagine this. I was used to hanging out with cool fashion artist people until God knows when in the morning, and here I had to check in at 11. I was also so frustrated about the rules. I have been traveling for modeling since I was 15, so I was used to being independent. But here, if I brush my teeth after 10:30, oh God, point. But after some weeks, I got used to it and started making friends. I was engaging in classes and having fun learning. Williston reminded me I was smart and capable, not just a pretty face who could pose. When I had my admissions interview, Miss Greener said I needed a place to be a child again. And she was right. It was refreshing to be in a place where adults protected me instead of demanding me to fit an unachievable beauty standard. I felt supported. And even though it can be frustrating to not have my freedom, it was good that Williston cut off my wings so I could heal. I felt like I lived a lot of different lives in this 19 years, so here are some things I learned while traveling through the islands. And just because I learned them doesn't mean I do them, but I try. 1, a woman named Sarah once told me to ask for snacks in a maniac voice anytime you feel threatened by a weird dude. So like if a dude approaches you, like you just go, do you have some snacks? And they'll run away from you. I tried that before. And if they give you snacks, don't eat it. 2, don't try to make peace with your friend when you're mad. It's like soup. Let it cool for a while. I still struggle with that. 3, living in a dorm with 40 girls taught me a lot about various stuff, especially when dealing with toxic relationship and toxic exes. I'll just leave it at there. 4, know the days of your AP tests. I had the AP Lit test on a Wednesday, and I didn't know until Monday night. 5, if you want to rebel, do it for a good reason. 6, break the rules. Sometimes you can take the poetic license to be part of the unconforming youth. 7, it's okay to cry. Find healthy ways to cope with your feelings. Be careful and not let yourself be influenced by others. 8, everything and anything can be related to Hamlet. Being a teenager, Hamlet. Also, it's okay to pull an Ophelia and just lay in water with flowers sometimes, but be careful what people put in your drink, especially his name is Claudius, or any man in general. Sorry, that was rude. 9, use the concepts you learned in economics class with Mr. Gunn and philosophy class with Mr. Johnson and apply it to your romantic life. The supply and the demand graph is always a funny one. 10, there's a difference between being alone and lonely. 11, the world is inherently meaningless. 12, we're always hiding something, even from ourselves. 13, sometimes it's okay to not be nice. You don't need to be nice all the time. It is refreshing to be a shrew. 14, if you can, live in another country. Spending 1 month visiting the tourist traps is not living in another country. Go where the locals go. Listen what they have to say. Learn about their culture. Try to learn their language. It's cool, you know. 15, go to street markets on anywhere you are in the world and do people watching. And have a camera with you so you can take pictures and people are not going to be like, that's weird, why is she staring at me? I learned that from Mr. Hang. 16, chaos is good, especially when talking about art. 17, fake it until you make it. I have heard a lot about the way I walk, and I know I can look confident, but honestly, a lot of the times I was probably feeling insecure, and the way I fixed it was putting Bad Reputation by John Jett and walking as if I was in a runway again. So always walk with purpose. Like, I don't want to see anyone looking sloppy getting their speech. Their speech, no. Diploma. Thank you. 18, be impulsive sometimes and extremely bold. It's better to regret that you did something instead of that you didn't do it. Tell your friends you love them. Sissy reminded me of this year. 20, it's not lame to be friends with the teachers. They're probably cooler than a lot of people in your class. 21, me, Brody, and Sarah Johnson have the coolest mascots in college. They are the camels, and I'm the bananas lug. 22, try to never fit in. When I was young, I always wanted to look different from anyone else, and I would always fight if like my cousin who was my age had the same clothes as me. So I always had that stuff like, try to be different. So if you walk across campus, you're gonna see at least 15 white Nike Air Force shoes. It's just a staple. And I didn't want to blend in, so I spray painted mine yellow. They looked so gross and nasty, and I should donate them, but at least it's different. 25. My cousin Felipe and his husband Tom once said it's easy to make pictures of beautiful things. The real challenge is to make something ugly, make it pretty and desirable. Thank you for that advice on I made art with my wisdom teeth. And Pooja also, she was touching it, thinking it was ceramics. And I'm so sorry, I swear I cleaned that too. 26, the geese in the pond are extremely aggressive and furious. Stay away from them. 27, there's no word in English for saudades. Saudades is the state of longing, missing someone or something. 28, that's a fact. The first time we sang Sammy, my Sammy in assembly, I was pretty sure I just entered a cult. 29, do not rely your happiness on others. 30, one can't be an artist just for the aesthetic. One is an artist when they cannot survive without creating. 31, my mom always told me to not create little monsters in my head. For example, the voice deep down that says you're not worth it, that you look bad, or that nobody likes you, that is a little monster, and shut that bestie off. 32, talking about besties, CC and TikTok single-handed spread the word bestie around campus. And I hate and love her for that, because I started saying it as a joke, and now I call my dad a bestie. 33, don't care about what other people think of you. I know it's a cliche, but it's always a good reminder. As my mom says, They don't pay my bills. 34, always say hi to a dog when you're walking down the streets. And if you don't do it, I'll judge you. 35, learn Williston dating behavior. If you go to Dunkin' Donuts with someone of the opposite gender, you're dating, you're married. 36, not everyone will like you, and that's okay. 37, no matter the weather, there will always be someone sitting outside Ford. 38, no matter the weather, there will always be a middle school boy in shorts. And probably, who told me that? Running to the dining hall. If you're like me and don't understand sports, but still wants to socialize on campus, I suggest going to the games and narrating them in my head. So this is me, this is what I was thinking all the time I was watching people playing lacrosse. If it was a football game in Brazil, like if you ever watch soccer from other countries, you know that people like narrate it super loudly. So this was going on in my head. Deu quem passa pro Haiti, passa pro Davi, pega o goleiro, vai, gol! That Williston, not Pomfret. Oh, the most fun I had ever had on campus was jumping on George Span's trampoline. Thank you, George. 41, you can always count on the steamed chicken and pasta from the dining hall. When in doubt, sticky rice is your best friend. 42, when I'm retired, the only thing I'll be doing is playing bingo. 43, allow yourself to be a kid. Don't lose your ability to play and see the world in a full spectrum of colors. Hey, Dad, remember that first time we're visiting the first boarding school we saw? And I left in tears because A, it was in the middle of nowhere. B, they had mandatory chapel, and they had to wear this horrendous skirts that went like down here. And you know I can get pretty aggressive when people tell me how to dress. I wish we could see this moment now and realize everything would have been okay. I know it was pretty lost, but I found myself now. Class of 2021, we're about to leave this island and also leave our Williston version. When I first left Brazil, it was so refreshing to just create a new person. No one knew who I was, so I could be whatever I wanted to be. I suggest you do the same way to go to college. Be the most authentic and bold version of yourself. It's scary to leave the island, but it's also liberating. Thank you for all the teachers, Mem East dorm parents, staff, nurses, physical plant, everyone for the support. Thank you, Mr. Heng, for teaching me I could also be the photographer, not only the model. Ms. Levine, who helped me write this essay. Otherwise, there would be stuff that would not be some grammatic errors. Thank you, Ms. Garrity, for taking care of me. I know I can be pretty annoying, and sometimes she'll be like, just do your homework, and I'm like, no. So thank you. And thank you, my parents, for supporting me every time I decided to leave my island. Thank you, class of 2021, for being an island worth to be explored. Thank you, Williston, for cutting my wings, but I'm ready to have them back and fly west. Thank you.